All right, so here we go. Official introductions. Pat Caputo, Stoney, 97 won the ticket. Great to have you guys here. Best record in the American League. Meeting your expectations so far, Pat? Because basically they've picked up where they left off last year, or far exceeding.
You look, they're on pace to win 102 games. I had them at 83. So I thought they'd be good and playoff contender, but I didn't think they'd be like this. I didn't think they'd be bombing the baseball like this.
The run differential, them and the Yankees, right at the top of the American League. Tigers at the top.
All of
and
baseball.
Nobody else is even close.
And also, you got to understand, they're playing a team that's won 18% of their games, and they don't play another winning team until the 24th
Colorado
of this month.
coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad team. Look, the expectations, we all thought the pitching staff was going to be really good. I don't think we thought it'd be this good right now. I mean, Reese Olson, who's the second best pitcher on this team? You could pick from any of the four, right? I mean, because Flaherty hasn't been great. Olson's been fantastic. Casey Mize has been great.
Has the pitching exceeded your expectations more than the hitting?
No, the hitting, no. But I thought I was going to say, the pitching was really good. The hitting, but it's coming from, look, Javi Baez. Let's give the guy, he's been shredded for the last 2 years. He's been unbelievable, both with the bat and the glove. He's made two amazing catches, and like AJ said, it's somebody different every night. I was ready to run Colt Keith out of town the other day on the radio, sent him to Toledo. I think he's had 2 home runs since. He's still not hitting a big average, but he's starting to heat up. They're going to have really interesting roster questions. Vierling's coming back soon. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Vierling played today.
Yes, Margot's been playing in Toledo.
Yeah, so I didn't expect Torkelson to, be hitting this many. He's been.
I don't think in the offseason they did either. Clearly,
he hasn't. He's hit as many home runs as he hit all last year. Javi Baez hitting home runs in back-to-back games, playing center field and making catches over the wall. I thought it was a joke when they put him in center. They just had a lot of stories that have gone right. But here's fair warning to y'all. There's going to be some point, there's going to be a rough spell, and how they react to it is going to be careful. And the other thing is
there a part of the game?
Cleveland's like a big boil on everybody's ass. Because Cleveland is
an interesting way to put it.
They're always like a game or two out. They're just kind of hanging around,
They always are. They're good.
Yeah. Like a Boyle tends to do.
Like a Boyle tends to do, man.
Is there a part of this team that you look at that gives you pause about sustainability? Or is this just a general
defense?
In the midst of a baseball season, you're going to hit that swoon at some point?
Look, their defense, but Young has been terrific over at third, so is Ibanez. Sweeney had a problem where he couldn't throw the ball to first base for 2 weeks.
I know.
And now it's starting to get a little bit better. But it looks like they're a pretty good club. It almost looks too good to be true. They're 28 games above 500 in their last 66 regular season games.
Basically, if you look at the end of last year and what they've done so far this year, it's the same team.
And they were good in the playoffs.
Would it be fair to say the bullpen might not be as good as we thought? I'm trying to look for something.
No, it's been pretty good. Holton, they bring in Hurt. All these guys are doing pretty well. The only thing, Brisky got hurt for a while. He's back. Foley's in the minor leagues, but they bring up a couple guys.
Owens
and Lee. And they do pretty well, and they finally got rid of Maheda. So, they're rolling.
Winning is infectious. These guys have a lot of confidence right now. I think we saw it last year, and it has carried into this year. These guys believe they're going to win, and when you have pitching like this and you're hitting like this, what's not to believe?
And they're having fun. Granted, winning breeds fun, but you look at the dugout, and they're all laughing. They have a little 3-player thing on every home run where they hug. It's good to see.
And they've done it a lot. 20 home runs in the 7-game road trip so far, which is just
I think they have 7 guys with an OPS over 800.
And they've been smart by not overusing the pitching staff.
Let me get to the Pistons. What a series with the Knicks. Some incredible highs, then some incredible gut punches. The last one resulted in a knockout on Thursday night when Jalen Brunson's game-winning 3 was the difference. The Knicks were moving on in 6 games. A lot of different directions to go here. You can break down the turnaround they had this season. You can look at the series. Wherever you look, there's reason for optimism where a year ago it was hard to find.
I could not be more proud of this group of guys. What they overcame all year long. The way they worked, how resilient they were, how unselfish they were, how willing they were to sacrifice, for the guy next to them. They gave me the ability to coach them with no pushback. They gave me a renewed sense of purpose in this profession. And I can't be more thankful or grateful to have been a part of this group. To watch them revitalize a fan base the way that they did, to go from where we were at the beginning of the year to where we were now, just from a fan standpoint and an engagement standpoint, like, you can't ask for anything more than that.
We prove to ourselves that what we have in the room works and can be very successful in the NBA. When they come play Detroit, it's going to be a dogfight, and you're going to have to play the whole 48. If you get up early on, we're going to find our way back into the game and give ourselves a shot to win every night. So, I think that's the thing that the whole league is taking notice to, and just the belief in the room, in the locker room has grown a ton.
All right, so much to like about this team this year. And throughout the season, your expectations can change. You can say, boy, I was glad they just made the playoffs. But, Stoney, it got to a point, we talked about this before we came on, where now you're kind of angry they lost that series because it was a winnable series, and they could very easily, save for several different things, some in their control, one clearly not, that this could have been different.
I know. Look, overall, like you said, it was great. It was so much fun getting into that building, and the atmosphere was just incredible. And a lot of the players got a lot better, and they're still a young team. But the fan in me sits there at Game 6 when you're up 7 points with 2.5 minutes left, or whatever it was, and you can't close it out. And there's so many things you look back, Cade, the best player on the team, he's got to come through in that situation, like the Knicks' best player, Brunson, did. J.B. Bickerstaff is going to be coach of the year, or should be. But in that game, in that series, he's got to, in the offseason, figure out a way to control his temper. Technical fouls hurt this team. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. You look at it, it's only a point. And the fact that he took Asar Thompson out with about 3:45 left in the fourth quarter, he was doing a great job on Brunson. I think Brunson was 1 for 5 when he was the primary defender, the one being the winning shot. And then he put him back in, and it was too late. It made no sense.
Up by 5 when he went out. They were down to a 2-point lead. Right. Brunson had scored all 5 of the Knicks' points during that time. Jump in there, Pat.
Well, look, J.B. Bickerstaff did a terrific job. He should be coach of the year, all those things. But when he was with Cleveland, some question about him in the playoffs. Is that going to be the case here? What they did this year was this wonderful story, and they deserve every kudo they're getting, regardless of what happened. I still think it's outrageous they didn't call that foul. Hardaway was fouled. The series would have been different. But Stoney makes a lot of good points there, that right now there's definitely a free pass there. Next year, if they get in the playoffs, it'll be kind of like the Lions. That when they got in and lost to the Commanders, there was a time when they just won a playoff game, and people were like, I wish my dead grandmother was here to see this with me. And now it's not like that. When they lose, people are crying because they think they should win.
Yes. Let me jump in there on Cade. Lot of opinions on Cade coming out of that game. Where I stand is this. He needs to get better. Yeah. He needs to tighten his handle. I have no doubt he's going to do that. To me, Cade Cunningham is going to be a superstar. I am not worried about him. I believe he will improve. I think he'll see the things that he needs to improve on, and I think he's got every bit of the talent needed to do that.
And if Ivy comes back, who knows what's going to happen trade-wise, whatever they're going to do, the ball will be out of Cade's hands a little bit more, so the turnovers will probably go down, and he's probably better at that. That's the thing. How do they get better from, where they are now to next year? They obviously need a stretch 4. As good as Jalen Duren was, in today's NBA, you need a big guy who can shoot from further out than 5 feet. And that's
got about 20,
problem.
Pat.
No, I agree 1,000% on the stretch big. And Ivy, you can see where he would have been valuable in this series.
Huge.
He would have been absolutely huge. Look, they did a terrific job. Future's bright. I think Cade Cunningham already is a superstar.
I love the guy. I have no concerns about him. I have concerns about some of the things that happened in this series, but I have belief that he knows what they are, and he will fix them, and he's perfectly capable of doing that. And he's not the first guy to get into a playoff series, his first one ever, and struggle a little bit. And you know what?
And he's gotten better every year. So
yeah, no, I'm a believer. It's so disappointing that Ivy was not able to play this year because it was a year where you could have learned more about him, and you would have loved to have seen him in that playoff game throughout that series, and he looks so good to begin this year.
And let's not forget, Jalen Brunson was out of his gore, man.
He's a great player.
A heck of a player, and not having Stewart hurt as well.
I don't do my job worrying about whether I'm on the hot seat or not. That's your job, you know. And to be honest with you, I don't really care what you think. With all due respect, I got to do my job, and I will do my job. And you know, the Ilitch family, I report to them, and they'll make the decision if or when that comes. So I'm going to continue to do my job and do what I think is right, and always do what's right for the Red Wing organization.
All right, Steve Yzerman earlier this week. There's a lot of ways, again, in this you can go. You can go with what they have to do from here. But one of the big takeaways I had, Pat, from that press conference this week was you had a head coach and a team president both sitting there saying, we were good enough to make the playoffs. We needed more from our best players.
Well, look, he made a lot of mistakes. I mean, a huge percentage of their salary cap, 31% of it, were on players that were veterans that did nothing. All right, it was more than actually what they're paying their big four at $8 million plus a year in that area. So he has done a terrible job of signing players through free agency and acquiring trades. A team like Colorado, yeah, they got these big 3 stars, but 11 of their players were acquired by trade, the rest of them in free agency. He's done a terrible job that way. He's drafted exceptionally well, but the way he put the team together this year, the trade deadline deal for Peter Mrazek, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a parody account. And Steve Yzerman, who's had nothing but success, ever since Scotty called him out like a long, long time ago as a player, he's getting called out by virtually everybody in this town as an executive now. And it's an unusual situation, and you can tell he's very unusual for him to be flooded.
He was defensive and defiant.
And Stoney, you did ask him about the pro scouting because that does seem to be someplace that they have lacked in terms of the acquisitions that they've had. But it also seemed that he indicated, look, we're in a different place than we've been in the past, and maybe he is open to a big acquisition if one's available. The problem is finding one that's available that makes sense where you're not taking a step back.
Look, would they pay Mitch Marner to come here?
$13 million a year?
I think they would. And, you know, if it means having to trade Dylan Larkin, I think you got to do something like that. The whole Larkin-Yzerman deal, there's something going on there.
Well, Larkin's got a no trade. Larkin never would have said that if he didn't have a no trade. All right? He said that on purpose. He's a smart guy. He was standing up for showing leadership for the boys in the room.
Right.
And, Yzerman, he was going to react that way. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I think the free agent that makes the most sense for them is Sam Bennett. He's a second-line center. He's gritty. They need somebody with, I don't want to use gritty.
They need somebody that makes them, everybody using that word now. It
Nasty,
makes
sandpaper.
them tougher to play against.
Right,
I think that's one thing that we've talked about a lot. They're not a hard team to play against.
Right, they are so easy to play against, and there's free agency. What I'd love to see them do, and they won't do it, and I think Toronto would match it. Nyes is a free agent. He's 23, restricted. He's 23 years old. Give them a poison pill.
And some of that, Pat, I'll give you the last word for about 15 seconds here. Some of that is that mental thing that Todd McClellan talked about. I just don't know how much you can grind into guys that are established in this league with the mental capacity.
But you're going to have Comfort back. Hole's got one of those Barry contracts, but basically $2 million against the cap. Sherratt, Tarasenko, Gustafson.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, come on.
Terrible.
They all got Comfort. They're all in a spot. They're not playing for anything. They all got their money. It's like a country club other than the 6 or 7 guys. They have more floating ships. It looks like Merrill Davis and Charles White out there in the Olympics. Ice dancing. They take their 40 seconds.
Didn't think we were going there tonight.
They skate around, and then they jump back on the bench. Don't even touch the puck, let alone another player.
Thank you for not twirling in your chair.